There we go. And we're live. Should be it, actually. I think. Mohammed, you'll have to tell me if it is working or not. But yeah.
Yep, we're live.
Awesome. All right, cool. What's up, everybody? All you peoples out there. Hope
What's up?
everybody's doing well. Thanks. Big thanks to Mohammed for running the show today. We got one of our students in for a review at the end of the class. Kalen's on. So, yeah, that's going to be awesome. I'm excited for that. We're going to go do a review of his awesome work that he just finished up. Let me grab that so you guys can see it. We'll do a review at the end. This is from my UI and data design course, so this will be a lot of fun. But yeah, so stay tuned if you want to see that critique. That'll be towards the end of the class. But yeah, but right now there's been a lot of questions people have been asking. The ZBrush stuff I've been doing and the renders and the lighting. So maybe I could do like a kind of like a live little case study workshop kind of thing with everybody and kind of just show my files and some of my process. Disclosure ahead of time is I'm not like this 3D guru and just been doing this my entire life, so I'm like really new to it. But I'm using a lot of the things that I've learned from just drawing and photography and directing to kind of influence the images that I'm trying to capture and stuff. So I'll probably reference a lot of just like storytelling or films and stuff as I go through here. And I think one of the takeaways from all this conversation will probably be about having a really good sense of building your visual vocabulary through references and imagery and stuff as you go through and develop yourself in your eye and everything too. So, but yeah, this is a file that I sculpted in ZBrush, and then I brought into Cinema 4D using Gozi. So here's my sculpt right here. Yeah, and it's like if some of you probably were here when I was making this live. Oops, let's see frame. But yeah, so let's see here. Get out of this. But yeah, this is the dude that I made, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. I shelled him and everything too, so that some of the detail is kind of lost. But and I had some errors in the geometry when I was shelling it because I was learning some new techniques that I was trying to do with like edge loops and all that kind of stuff. But no, it was a lot of fun. Yeah, so this is the dude, and each one of these pieces is like a different shell from the actual geometry too. So it's pretty heavy, even after I'm not sure if this is decimated actually. Let me I think it's like Shift F. That's the I. So Shift F. I'm trying to see there it is. Let me see if this is decimated. I can't remember if this file is or not. Yeah, it looks like I decimated it. So, and I don't know how many people here are new to ZBrush or use it, but there's this feature when you work in ZBrush. It's the best way to work is kind of like how you paint. You work from large to small, and at the end of when I work, I'll work on like very bulky objects. Like so, I'll start with the sphere and start pulling it out using masks and all that kind of stuff. These are all these techniques that I learned from Alex Vagini and various like tutorials online. But then once you get to like this level, when it's really quite refined, and I'm getting into like the multiple millions of polygons, when I want to export it and bring it into say Cinema and make it somewhat usable and make it so I can like get around in it, I'm going to want to decimate it basically. So by decimating it, it basically makes it so it's more manageable mesh size-wise. So when I come into Cinema and my GPUs, let's see, let me just show you right now. I'm using like, I have this, I'm just only using one of my machines today for this. I have 3 Titan X's, but this scene's only using 2 GB VRAM, so it's not too bad. I think that some of the biggest scenes I've had is probably like 6 to 8 GB, but I just really hate waiting for renders and stuff, so I just always try to be aware of it. So a lot of this stuff too is I'm learning. I'm like a complete student as I'm going along here, so I'm in no way an expert, but I'm just having a lot of fun building things out. So yeah, there's a lot to talk about, I guess. And Mohammed's going to be taking questions. I won't be watching the chat, so Mohammed will be there. So if you have questions, just make sure you get his attention. I don't know. What's the best way to get your attention, Mohammed?
No, just type your questions in the chat. I'll forward them to Ash. Yeah, that's the simplest way to go about it.
Awesome.
You
Cool.
already have a couple. It's just a quick question. People asking if you'd be able to talk about your process from go to Z to cinema, and just whether you've decimated or not your sculpt.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, so I kind of just spoke about that right now. So yeah, when you're working in ZBrush, you're going to start with something quite primitive and small, like a sphere or a cube or whatever it might be, and then you're going to slowly start adding all those details and similar to how you draw. You know, you want to add like you start with something simple and then you build out and you keep building and building. So what I've done is I've built it all and then I shelled it by making masks. And this is something else. If you watch the other streams, you'll see how I make polygroups for masking. But the next thing is after I take this, if I want to say go to do a Go Z like transformation, I'll grab this subtool and I'll just hit this Go Z. And when you set up Go Z, it's really easy. When you want to set it up, I believe it's in preferences and it's in here somewhere. There's just like, yeah, there it is at the bottom. If you go into here and then you can do like, you can set it up to path to Cinema 4D. And my path goes to my R17, which is what I have on my PC. And when I hit Go Z, it should go over to Cinema. And I think it's, right now you can see it's taking all the information and bringing it over to Cinema right now. So it's bringing it over here. And I think it might throw it into this file, which I don't want it to do, but that's fine. Yeah, so I also renamed everything and kind of cleaned it up because it kind of, when it comes in, it's not, unless you name it in your subgroups in here, subtools, then it kind of comes in as an unknown thing. So so let's say I just did that, Go Z, and I brought it into Cinema. This is that piece right there. So if I turn around and if I augment and move it around, that's like the underskin. The way I built this out is I started to think about how I wanted everything to be here. So I thought like it'd be kind of cool to have like some sort of like translucent mesh, because this is like a cyborg kind of creature. And so I was thinking it'd be interesting to have like some sort of like liquid kind of skin underneath it all. But if I take that away, you can see right through it. It's just a big shell now. And usually when I work, this is the layout that I work in. I usually like my working area at about this, and then if I hit my middle mouse click, I can see like my general area. And I honestly, guys, when I work on this, it's not client work, and I'm just kind of blasting through, and I don't have like the best habit of like keeping things super clean. Like for those of you that took Michael Wrigley's class, like he's incredibly methodical about his approach on keeping things super clean and organized, and I lack that like discipline, I guess, to do that. But and all it is me basically putting a couple nulls in here and saying like lights and then cameras and then scene and then dragging those things in here. So like this would be part of my scene, and then I would also, these would be my this is the background, so that'd be a scene, and this would be lights because it's an HDRI element. A lot of people have been asking me if I use HDRI lights. Sometimes I use it, and usually when I use it is I'm trying to just see the scene. So when I first start a shot, I'll just use my HDRI just to make sure everything looks right and it's in here, like for a more general light source. But when it comes to lighting my things, I usually I light just by my own eye, basically. And the reason I do that is because I like to have control over the elements, just like as if I was shooting a film or shooting a person or something. I want to have the ability to go, okay, well, I want to have like a really nice soft light. I want a certain type of mood. A lot of this comes down to studying film. So let's say I'm watching a show or a film, and I'm watching the way Roger Deakins is setting up a scene or trying to convey information. If you don't know who Roger Deakins is, he's an amazing cinematographer, and he's shot some of the most amazing films. So I'll watch a lot of his kind of films and kind of study the blocking, the framing, the setups, and all that kind of stuff, and get a good sense of the tone that I want to have, and the lighting, and the mood, and the lens, and all that kind of stuff. So And so a lot of that comes from just studying, opening my eye to different realities. But not even just, that's just film. You can also look at, let's say, like Rembrandt, for example. Like, let me go into, I don't know where my stuff went. I'm on my PC too, so things are a little different on this thing. All right, so let's see, Command T. Now my key commands are different. So let's say like Rembrandt. So if I look at Rembrandt's work, and if I'm looking at like just the way he paints or his use of natural light, there's something that I would like to, like let's say for this shot, for example, or I wish there was a better photo of that. Let me find tools, I guess. Size, large. So like if I'm going to use Rembrandt as an example for lighting, I'll look at the direction of the light and the tonality of the light. And this is in an age where we didn't have all these studio lights and everything was overlit and all that kind of stuff. It's natural light or as much as possible. So he has a light source from the upper left, and it's casting a nice shadow, and it's kind of illuminating the face in a really nice and subtle way. Let's see, or like things like this old Victorian kind of paintings and stuff. I love these things. They're very interesting source of light information and just tonalities and stuff, and where to put light and how to use light and stuff. Like this shot, for example, is almost like a spotlight. It's very theatrical, and using that as an inspiration for lighting and CGI, I think is really important, because it's all a very similar formula. It's really, if you start to break things down. I don't have a full scene like that, so it's going to be a little bit harder to articulate and connect those two things. But if I were to like kind of copy or get inspired by, say, like Rembrandt's look and feel, so I'd have Rembrandt's piece, just like a quick case study. So if I was like, I really like the lighting of this piece, for example. Again, I don't have a full figure, so I'm just going to focus on the head. So what I'd do is I'd grab my light, and I know it's one light source. And the reason why I know it's one light source is because he doesn't have a rim light or backlight or edge light or any of that stuff. It's one subtle light. And my favorite lighting is usually one or two lights. And the way I set up my lights is I'll pretty much make a box around my character or our object, and then I'll be able to just turn on whichever one I want and see how I notice I have a left one, a right one, a front, a back, and two different tops. And from here I have like the ability to just kind of shift things around. So I will turn my camera so I can see it. So I'm right here. So if I want to mimic that look from Rembrandt, I'm going to go and shift this around, and his light is probably a little bit smaller. So I'll change this and make this a little bit smaller here. And just to help my scene out and make it so that you guys can see it, I'll just minimize all this other stuff so it's not a bunch of clutter. I'll bring this over here, and then I'll constantly come back and go, okay, he's lighting the cheek over here. And I'm not don't have to match it exactly, but this is kind of how I would look at it. I think one of the big things that would help with most people's CGI work is just using the real world, or if you're after that, if you're trying to mimic reality, then you must understand how reality works. Because if you don't, then there's really there's no way to study it properly. So that really helps, Yeah, and so a little bit higher probably. So, and the thing I love about being able to work nowadays is I don't have to wait like an eon for renders to come through. So that really helps. Let me remove the background too. So I remove the background of these scenes by hitting holding Option and double clicking on, or I can just do that, but I'll double click and take it away so I can just see this and I can identify it. And a lot of the times I get questions about this stuff, and my biggest response is that it's just painting with light. I use the light to paint the scene. Without light, we have nothing, right? Like if we don't have a proper light source, we have nothing that we can see. So for me, it's all about wanting, using the things that I want to see, basically. Let me bring this up. I think I made two different copies of it so that one didn't have the chin open up like that. I don't know if this works. It should come up. 1 second here. There we go. Oh, I guess not. Weird. Okay. Go back to this. I just wanted to open up or fix that jaw part. Under skin. Nope. Cap, skull. Turn the skull back on. There's like an underskull. Now I'll just take up geo. Let me just fix this jawline really quick. I opened up the jaw because I just wanted to have it open up. So, and when I'm modeling or doing anything in augmentation as I'm building things up, I will always have my four like screens up, top, right, and usually like a perspective or whatever. Doesn't have to be perspective. Actually, I'll change this to, I guess front. I guess is fine. That way I can see everything. And a quick little trick: if you're in cinema and like there's like your things over here, you can't see it. If you hit S, it'll the key S will bring your object right into frame, so that will help you out. That's one thing that I learned along the way that was very helpful because often got lost in things. So I'll take this. I'm gonna hit R to rotate it, and I'm gonna bring it over here and kind of like lock it back into place. Hit R. And I'm just going to quickly, roughly do this. And the reason why is that it looked kind of weird, and I wanted to represent the Rembrandt thing that we're looking at. Okay, that's somewhat good. Now I'm going to resend the scene because it's not registering right now. The geometry is lagging. It'll just take a minute. It's quite a bit of mesh and stuff too. So, but this is like literally how I kind of will study something, will look at it very closely, understand it, analyze it, and then I'll use it as inspiration, as a touching point to kind of get me started. And then from there, I'll be able to take it beyond. And I personally love to only light with like one or two lights. And I think oftentimes one of my biggest qualms with the CGI work that I see, unfortunately, and it's just my own opinion, is it looks fake as hell because it's just lit with too many lights. Just because we have the ability to light things like that, it doesn't mean we should. So, or at least that's just my opinion. I could be completely wrong. It's just my own style. So, and when the CGI work that I see that's really incredible, let's say like David Fincher's films, when he inputs the CGI into his work, it's got a whole, it melds perfectly with the film, you know, like it works really well. So yeah, just letting this update. It's taking a minute here. Could be because I have both of these open. So let me close this one out. It's probably trying to get all that information in there. Usually when I make these scenes, I will let me resend this because I think it's trying to like, this is probably like 20 million polygons now at this point. So let me see. I'll resend it again. But usually when I make this stuff, there it goes, crashed. Awesome. Let me try and open this again. Yay.
The beauty of live streams.
Yeah, and I think it's probably because Octane has, when it gets like just bombarded, it kills, it dies. So let me restart R17. I'll open up that file again and we'll break it down. I could break down and open an easier file too. These are, I'm taking Alex Vagini's class, and then when I work, I just kind of make a bunch of random stuff and throw it all together, and then I save iterations as I go. So don't send. Okay, who cares? Because they wouldn't be able to fix it anyways. It's an Octane issue. All right, so let me try and open up maybe one of the female heads. I'll go back to that one cyborg head guy. These are those Ghost in the Shell ones I've been showing. They're all in here. The num-nums. All right, so let's send this to the renderer. Yeah, this will just take a minute. It's a heavy scene. You know, it's kind of like a trade-off. As you build things that are more and more dense and more intense, you know, the funny thing, the irony is that a lot of the times this stuff isn't really that intense. I have a pretty powerful computer. It's not that intense. It's mostly the program is just lacking, since it's not good, or not Cinema necessarily, or the like Octane is not like, you know, running efficiently enough or using my computer properly in order to achieve like the results that I want and stuff. So yeah, let me send it over. I think what happened is I had double the head basically open and activated, and then I kept asking it to do stuff, and then it was like, it couldn't do it, and then it just broke basically. So Yeah, this is like, it happens all the time. So good times. While it's doing that, I'm going to just clean up the scene. So lights and camera. And I like to break up my scene similar to how Michael Wrigley teaches in his class, lights, camera, and scene, because this is the general form. And what I could do quickly is I can just kind of work on this. See, yeah, yeah. I'm not watching I'm only looking at the Google chat. So if you want to chat or if you want to come in, let me know. I'm not looking at anything though, Mohammed. Not anymore. Never again. So I'm just here in this thing.
All right, cool.
Just so you know, if you need anything.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
cool. You're the man now. So
All right.
the big boss
So
hog.
so I'll just jump into like very very little questions as we go through. One of the first one was, how long did this scene take you to build?
This scene in particular, I don't know, like with shading and everything, probably like an hour and a half, maybe. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to explain, guys. Like when I start really getting into it, I'm just like blasting. Like when I'm allowed to do what I'm doing and I don't have any interruptions, I'm just like going 100% full speed, and but not I'm not it's not I'm not always fortunate in order to have that kind of focus. But usually, like this project, when I did this, I started making it pretty late at night, and yeah, it's just kind of I was going crazy basically making it. So it was a lot of fun. We fix this jaw. So yeah, redoing all this work again. It's always easier the second time around. So yeah. Let's bring this up here.
Colin is asking if you're using any layers in your workflow, or is your machine just beastly?
Layers in
Cinema.
No, I don't actually. I've never used layers. Chris was showing me when we were working on Epoch and None. He was showing me how he was using layers, but no, I actually don't. And my machine isn't all that crazy. I guess it is. I don't know. But I don't know. I never used the layers. I should probably check it out though. It probably help save me time and frustration. But I kind of use it just quite quickly, and just kind of set up my scenes and set up my stuff. All right, let's see that. I'm just trying to get us back to where we were. That's damn okay. So yeah, so I have my dude here, and so what we want to do is I have the aperture kind of turned up on this. So if we go also bouncing around a lot, but the lens that I like to usually use, or the camera focal length that I like to use usually for portraiture, is I'm using a telephoto right now, but if I use like an 80 millimeter, it's a more natural. It mimics kind of the way that our eye works, and so I usually like to work with that. And it's really important to know the lens choices, because it'll help you. A lot of the times, I see like whatever, it could be a style thing, but like people are using the default, which is like a 36 when they're doing portraitures, and see what it's doing to the face. It's making it all funky and weird. And if like Rembrandt, if I'm using like Rembrandt as an example, he's using his natural eye to paint, which is more or less similar to like a portrait, like an 80 millimeter or 50 millimeter. And I know this stuff from taking photographs, but it's something that's really good to also bring into your knowledge of CGI, because it will only help you get a better perspective on achieving reality, if that's what you're after too. So again, it's mostly just a matter of like goals and finding those goals and what you're after and trying to achieve those. For me with this project, this is just me learning, but it'll probably eventually go into a bigger project for like maybe my next short film or something. But I'm constantly always learning. I think it's like everything that I do is hopefully adding up to the next thing that I'm going to try and focus on in my career or body of work. And it's always just a lesson basically. So yeah, again, back to the lighting. So if I let me kind of silence the scene out. So, but yeah, my lighting, if you see here, it's just basic generic lights, which I'll just grab, and Octane area light. Um, I use some IES stuff and fog stuff and none. That's a whole different thing we can talk about another time. That's really insane stuff. But for me, it's mostly just setting up basic lights, having them work, and then kind of using them like a Kino Flow or something akin to like a film cinematographer. And so if I were to, like for me, it's like, oh, that's so cool. And like now what I would do is I would just turn on the skull, maybe take the face mask away, and then see what that looks like and see if I can get some light in here. And so what I'm doing is I'm actively changing things and I'm looking at it. When you hit Control and Tab over any window inside a cinema, it'll go to full screen, which is really cool, which I like to do. And this is kind of how, when I work, I'm constantly doing that. See the skull. I'm going to take the underskin off and see the skull in here. Let's see if it'll come up. Yeah, there it is. Cool. So, and let me get my focus. Another thing that I love about Octane is being able to pull focus on whatever I want. So if I want to focus on the ear, I'll just take this little key right here and then click on wherever it is I want to focus on. So obviously for this photo, I'd probably want to focus my camera range in right on this area. And so when I'm looking at this, I'm like, okay, this looks cool. It's a little dark, obviously. So what I'll do is I'll take my one single light, this top light. I'll go back to my, I guess my 4V window, and I'll bring this over here a little bit to the front. A little too much. I'm still trying to make it ominous and weird, so I'm gonna kind of pull it back a little bit, and I'm gonna close it in a little bit too. Bring in those sides. There we go. And if I want to, I can kind of squeeze this in and bring this in the center here. If I want some symmetry. If I don't want symmetry, I can easily just make it smaller, move it off to the left over here, and then it'll kind of highlight the side over here. But this is like, again, this is very new because I wasn't able to do this kind of stuff before. Now I'm able to just actively make changes as I go and quickly make iterations. This is like a game changer because now I can, when I'm working on client stuff or whatever, I can quickly make the best work possible instantly, so yeah. So there's like some, and I just kind of go through here, and this is just like me at home in my office working and coming up with ideas and stuff and building out different scenes and things, and also just being really aware of like how I want to isolate things. When I look at the Rembrandt painting, he has like a soft gradation of a background. Also here, like how he's pushing the form of the guy back here, but the lighting and the choice of lighting, the way he's lighting is really great too. So I'm using Rembrandt because he's a great example of like really beautiful portraitures, and he's a household name as well, so we all kind of are aware of him. But I think it's really great to look at his use of light and how he's using light to kind of build out emotion. Like this painting is so striking to me personally. It's beautiful and it's executed exceptionally well, but it's capturing the energy and the tone and the feel and the mood. And if we're making imagery to do that, then it's really good to study that. And any artist that I find that I'm like, oh, that looks really great, I usually, will try to figure out why I'm feeling emotionally impacted by that particular creative and figure out how I can use those kind of skills into my own work. So let me put an edge light on here. So I have like this backlight. So now this is more like if I was lighting an iPhone or something. This is kind of like the lighting setup. You'd have like a soft top or whatever, and then you'd have a kind of a brighter edge light. So if I take off the top light, and it's as simple as this. When you set up the rig, it's quite easy, but I take off the top light and now I can just see the edge light, and bam, I can see kind of how it looks. I go, cool. It has that ominous feel. And then if I like, okay, I want the top light, but I want to lower the power down a bit to kind of be more subtle. There we go. And now I'm just adjusting the power of it. Sliding it around. There we go. Here's all my materials. Most of these aren't used, obviously. It's just basically just me taking a bunch of crap from other things that I'm using. I'll just remove the duplicates and unused stuff. There we go. That cleans it up. And then the node-based editor, I just have my files and stuff, or my shaders and stuff in here. For the most part, it's pretty simple. My buddy Cornelius Dumash, he's showed me a bunch of really cool techniques that I use to make my shaders and stuff. Yeah, nothing too crazy. But yeah, this is pretty much how I like to light things and build things out. It's just more or less like just finding the tone and the feel that I want and kind of putting it all together and creating some sort of emotion or tone that I'm after. So bam, bam, just like this, move that. It gets really weird. And a lot of times when I'm working on this stuff, I just like to explore and see things differently. And because I can afford to do so, because I have real-time rendering, it just helps so much that I can just kind of go, oh, that's interesting, and then look at this closer and be able to investigate and see like, oh, interesting, you know. But a lot of it, I think, is an important thing to think about is it all comes from making an original, like, striking object to light and render. If your object is crappy, then it's like the rest of your work won't, like, none of this matters because the source of the image is not good. So it's important to have like all those things combined too, of course. So see that. Let me remove the jaw and maybe the right cheek, and let's see how that looks.
When you're exploring something like this, where you're sort of figuring things out on the go, do you have specific things you're looking for that are consistent in every single one of your project, regardless of the medium? Or when you're doing this project, is it just playtime and you're just looking for a happy accident and just going?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's mostly a mix between the two, honestly. Like playing and discovering, and I have my fallbacks, you know, like things that I know that work, lighting styles or formations and stuff. But a lot of the times I like to just kind of see how hard I can push things, and if I can get something to, I don't know, look the way that I want it to, you know. So a lot of it is explorations and happy accidents and just kind of trying to discover things as I go. So it's a good blend between those few things, you know. So and just discovering, trying new things. A lot of it comes from just studying other work that I really like, and then having that influence what I'm trying to do, you know. So if I see like let's see, like heat, oops, damn keys, heat, screen grabs, see if it'll come up. Say I'm like watching the movie Heat or something. So like this is what I do. I just will get inspired by a beautiful film, and I'll look at the way that the director and the cinematographer are lighting and grading and setting up their shots, and I'll kind of try to think about how I could use that same kind of, this is such a bad keyed green screen thing, I think. It always makes me laugh. But yeah, you know, like looking at staging. So like this scene, there's a lot of tension between the two of them, and the way this is set up is it's like beautiful storytelling cinematically. So this barrier between them as friends that once were, and then the wide open ocean, it's just like it doesn't get better. This is like perfect. This is a perfect use of film. And so when I see this kind of stuff, I'm obviously not even getting close to touching that here, because I'm just mostly spending all my time focusing on how to learn ZBrush and all those kind of fun things, but also bringing it all into cinema and doing that. But if I were to use that as an inspiration, I'm just kind of looking at framing, composition, lensing. You see like how the lens on this one imagine everything in the background super sharp and crisp. You wouldn't see shit because you wouldn't see him, and what you're supposed to focus on is him. Look how much space he's taking up. He's obviously using a phone. It's composed with the frame in half, splitting between him and the person that he's talking to, but then also the way the background's kind of, completely lost, and that's really cool. So using that inspiration to kind of convey and use lighting references and all that kind of stuff. So this is just like Heat, for example. There's just so many different films out there. Let's say like Ridley Scott's Legend, Ridley Scott, and film stills. This is kind of how I search things too. Honestly, I just kind of look around. That so much stuff is on the internet. It's like almost everything that you want is here. So. This is something I don't know if you guys are familiar with Dave Raposa's work, but he's heavily inspired by this film, obviously, as you can see. Yeah, I'm trying to get a better example, like a better image of these things. But yeah, a lot of times I will be watching movies and kind of just getting inspired by the tonality and lighting and stuff. I mean, if you haven't seen this film, you should. It's an incredibly beautiful film. It's a little weird on the story side, but I mean, it's just, yeah, these are stills from the actual film. So it's incredible. It's like Ridley Scott was just killing it. So yeah, and his team, so yeah, Legend. There's so many though. There's so many films out there that are just incredible to look at and use as a reference. So let's say for this, so if I were to sculpt like this goblin creature, for example, this is a really good way of lighting a goblin. It's like keeping half of its head immersed in darkness, and a nice soft edge, but then having a harsher like kind of key light on the side here helps a lot. So like if I were to use that as an example, again, I have all four of my options here, and I can go, all right, I'm going to have like a key, so I'm going to change the size of this back here. I'm going to change my camera to front, yeah. And I'm going to scale this down a little bit so I can get some more room when I'm building this out. And probably what I'll do is I'll pause. Actually, I shouldn't pause this. Front, top, maybe. Yes. Okay. Camera, front. Camera, perspective. It's weird that they're tagged together. I don't know what's going on. Whatever. It's probably some kind of weird thing that I'm doing. That. Yes. Awesome.
It's interesting to see how, like exactly like you were showing, just from looking at movie stills, like we tend to forget how close that 3D is basically mimicking reality. So having a good understanding of photography and the way natural light works will always help you have stronger results in any 3D package.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's all your eye, You give I'd like to do this experiment where you take like, 5 CGI artists or whatever, and you give them one asset and say light it and see what happens. A lot of times I just feel that it's like when you have the opportunity to have all these lights and things, like it just gets crazy. Like this is a really crazy scene. Look at there's like purple, and then you have keys of light, but you have all this volumetrics in here too, which is really cool. Yeah, I can get started on that. But okay, so like if I'm trying to, I forget the name of this character's name, but so if I want to try and light like this, so when I'm looking at this, I'm thinking there's a nice key light, and what I mean by key light is there's a light off camera that's brighter and harder, that's cutting the edge, drawing his face basically, or its face, and then we have a nice soft box up here. That's actually the light's coming from over here. And the reason why I can tell that is if I turn his head mentally into a sphere, I can basically go, okay, well, if his head's a sphere, then this is a light that's right here, and then this is the core shadow. and then here's the key light right here. Everything is broken down to the fundamentals of lighting, really simply, you know. So we'll do a Roger Deacon one after I do this one, because I think it'd be good for us to see that too. And taking Roger Deacon's inspiration and learning how to light a monster, I mean, that's so cool. You're combining like two really interesting things. And you know, I think Steve Jobs said at one time, like, creativity is just combining things, you know, and I believe that to be true. It's like you're taking two different things that not most likely wouldn't be combined, but they make a really great fusion together. So and since lighting is so universal, so let's take like this lighting example. So I'm going to show you how I would set this up just to get a nice look. So I'm going to catch this key light right here. So I'm going to take my backlight. Right now it's too big. You see how it's catching all this stuff too? I want to just kind of hit this area. So I'm going to kind of position my head into the right spot. And then I'll take my backlight, which is the one that's lighting all this stuff. And it sucks because I can't find the freaking thing, but I'll figure it out. So I'm just going to size it down and then move it so it's off that side, and drop it down a little bit more. There you go. And see how we're just looking at the key light right now. So let me just take that away. So, because that was doing a fill. So see how I'm just catching the edge of that light right there. See how he's catching that right there. Maybe move it out a little bit further. So I'm going to move it this way. And it's just painting with light, you know, like I'm just taking light and I'm painting my forms. And this is, if you can really do this and embrace it, and like, man, your work's going to just shine, you know. So so here's that. And I might make a class on this stuff. I think it'd be cool. It's just a matter of taking the time to make a class. It'd be so much work. So and since there's a million other things to do right now, but so now I have this light right here, and the next one I want to do is maybe like this soft fill right here. So that is on my right hand side of the face. So I'm going to go to my right light, and I'm going to turn it on and see where I'm at with it. And right now it's like way too bright, so I'm going to make it a little bit bigger, bring it closer, and then drop the power of it down quite a bit. And mind you, this is like the materials and stuff are completely different, and the subject matter is completely different, obviously, but it's okay. And there we go. Simple, getting those like tones and all that stuff. But see how we have the dark core shadow, and we have a soft fill on the right, and a key light on the left, and just hitting that. And there's also, now that I see it, there's a couple, he has like a hot light up here too that's getting some of this stuff too. So there's like a 3-point light, and then the atmospherics and everything. Yeah, so that's kind of, in a nutshell, that's kind of how I would set this up. And then from here, once I have this, I'm like, okay, cool, like that's cool. And now from here I would kind of just adjust it to my own liking. So I would take that and go, all right, that looks nice. Now I'm going to start like augmenting it and starting to change it and starting to make it the way I want it to be. One thing too is you can see like that it is that this light is like a harsh. You can see the edge of it. So like what I can do is you can always change the shape of these things too, and make it like a sphere or whatever. Move it down. It's all mostly because it's a reflective. It's catching the reflection of it. So, but a lot of it's also just kind of like finding an image that I want to correspond with too, that I feel connected with. Lighting is, you know, again, so vital. So, and then another thing I do is I will gather like a bunch of different lights or cameras. So I'll do like a front camera, like right there, boom, there you go. That's cool. And then I'll just, when I'm working on it, I'll just hit Command Tab, and then once I see an image I like if I was taking photographs, I would just boom, go here, and then I would just grab a render of that and save that render out, and then I would change it later on. And always, I never just take my raw renders and share them. I usually go through like and do some comp work, subtle comp work, light corrections and stuff. Like Octane's pretty amazing at getting great results pretty quickly, but I'll go into like Lightwave, or I mean, what is it called? Lightroom, I mean, and go and augment the image to kind of make it pop and do what it needs to do stuff too. So And the cool thing is, like, if you're, let's say you're like, I don't really care about this kind of stuff and the CGI and all that stuff. I just want to learn how to like light and use it for my paintings and stuff. You can easily do that too. Like, you can take all this kind of information and stuff and have it help you. I think like using 3D has helped me significantly with my lighting and my ability to understand how to light things. Because I'm able to just quickly on the fly be able to change and augment things as I go, and it makes it a lot of fun. So, and you see how like that one light setup, but if I move my camera around, I can get some interesting results too. Like if I go over here and look around the back of it and all that stuff. Again, having a good subject matter is really key. So when you sculpt your whatever your object is, like making sure that you connect well with it is really key, and it's a good piece of something that's interesting to look at. Because if it's not, then it's like, what's the point? Like, why would you light something if it doesn't look good, you know? So I used to remember always, like, one of my teachers who told me, like, a long time ago, like, if it's a turd, you're just going to be sitting there polishing a turd, so don't, like, waste the time, you know? So it's harsh, but at the same time, it's very true. So making sure you have a cool piece of subject matter. And oftentimes it's mostly just, like, you know, creating, like, a face or something that's generally interesting to us humans, because we love to look at ourselves and we're experts at understanding what we look like. That really helps too. So let's look at some of this shader detail. This, yeah, bam. Yeah. So I don't know. Is there any questions coming in, Mohammed? Or everybody good?
Everyone's good so far.
Awesome. Yeah. Hopefully this stuff isn't going. It's pretty simple, you know. Like I hope it's not going over anybody's head. It's, you know, it's like, it's almost like once you start to see it, it becomes complete common sense, you know, and then just kind of seeing that reality and understanding how to use it. But a lot of the times, honestly, it's like I just kind of use films and be inspired by that. So No Country for Old Men film stills. So all, and let me go into Film Grab, I guess. I'm just going to try and find a source that has like great imagery. Or here's like Stanley Kubrick's 2001. Like it's got all kinds of great stuff in there. New World, Terrence Malick's film. Awesome film. Super good. But I'll just look at these things. Oh, is this, what you call it? What film is this? I think this is Ridley Scott's? No.
Is it the one with the natural light where everything was lit with candles and...
Yeah, that might be Stanley's film. Yeah. And there's Drive. I mean, but anyway, so if I go, this is a Roger Deakins film too. And I'll just kind of look at the way he's lighting and just the tones and everything too. So, natural light and just very subtle. You know, he's got this natural element here, and it's not overlit. Not everybody likes that. Some people love, like, you know, the super overly processed and overly lit kind of setups and stuff. That's totally fine. But if you look at the way he's lit this guy, for example, and you look at Rembrandt's paintings, I mean, they're very similar, you know. And there's a reason why when you watch No Country for Old Men, like it feels gritty and real, and there's a great tonality to it that really kind of works well and feels right. It's all considered and all thought of, you know. So, you know, like why he split the frame and the mirror and using that and being above the camera, like why didn't he just go behind him or on the side of him? And a lot of these shots are really locked off shots, you know. There's not like a lot of movement going on, which is really cool. So again, everybody has different styles, and I don't think that the thing I want to make sure I'm saying to be clear here is like there's no right thing, you know. Like it's what you like, and it's what inspires you and what motivates you in your work, you know. But I would suggest from my standpoint is constantly watching films or seeing imagery. Like, I'm not trying to be a jerk, but don't just go only on like popular creatives art sites and just copy what those people are doing. Barry Lyndon's the name, sorry. Because then you're just going to look like the next person, you know. So why not look at masters? And these are people, like, if you think about a movie, it's so crazy. These are people that, I mean, look at this crazy. He's using the world's best light, which is the sun. He's got that beautiful natural light from the sun. But if you think about it, these are masters, these are masterworks that have already been there and done it, and it's just awesome. You look at it and be inspired by it, and yeah, and it's already like this is already here for us as a resource. Of course, there's Blade Runner, Blue Valentine's a really beautiful film too. Bronson's crazy, but yeah, studying these films, this is I'm inspired by this kind of stuff because this is kind of what I want to create towards. So if you're inspired by like I want to make like products that look real and stuff or whatever, or then look at things that are kind of connected to that, or take photographs of your product and kind of tie it into this. Man, I was watching Children of Men the other day. This film is so damn good, crazy good. I forgot how epic this film is. I don't know how I forgot that, but yeah, so I'm constantly looking at this stuff and being inspired by it and letting it infer kind of how I compose shots and stuff. And when I make my concepts and things for film or whatever, I'm using all this knowledge and things to help, So I'm still basically on the very beginning of my long journey to be the best that I possibly can be at what I do too. So it's going to take some time, but yeah, crazy stuff. Crazy stuff.
It's a great movie.
Yeah, it's an awesome movie. Yeah.
I haven't seen it in a while.
Yeah, you should rewatch it. I rewatched it and I was like, wow, I can't believe I forgot how amazing this film is. It's just like incredible. Yeah. This film has a lot of really great cinematography too as well. Drive. It has a lot of really great scenes and shots and edits and cuts to it that are really awesome and very like well considered, and yeah, just the tonality of things. Like, look how dark everything is. The crush, like if you made a 3D object a lot of times too, like, oh, I modeled all this. I want to see it all, I don't blame people because when you model things, it takes so much time and you want to see everything. But if you show everything, then you show nothing. So if you understand the restraint, then I think that your work will be even stronger. And what people do when they look at your image is they'll connect and they'll make the rest of the image in their mind. And that creates a really cool symbiotic relationship with you and the viewer where they're continuing and finishing what you've opened up. It's almost like opening the door to them and letting them kind of go into it from there, So, yeah.
I have the same relationship when it comes to comics or adaptation of certain comics into movies. Mm-hmm. Like that transition that you make in your mind between two frames sometimes is so magical. And once you see the whole sequence in a movie, so it takes away from that magic. And it's the same when you're playing with shadows when shooting something.
Yeah, absolutely. It all ties together. It all becomes something that you're using to infer another. And I think that, really, when you're lighting something or you're showing something, if you show everything, then you show nothing, And I think that it's really important to remember that when you're creating imagery to kind of what you're saying and what you're trying to do, which is difficult, Again, as I said, when you model something, you're like, I want everybody to see all the work and detail I did. I actually spent so much time in ZBrush trying to learn how to make an eye. So let me grab this eye thing. And I made like this. Oops. I made this eye. Let me grab this. See it. It doesn't seem like much, but it was a pain in the butt trying to figure out how to do it. This is all decimated too, so the geo looks like crap. But it was a pain in the butt, really. It was like trying to figure out how to really make it look like I wanted it to, let's see if I can grab that thing. Bam. Yeah, and it's in here too. It's in my file, but just taking the time to kind of figure out how to make it work and all that stuff. But then when I go into here, if I go into my cinema file, like let's say this would be my shot, you don't see any of that. And it doesn't even matter to me at this point because I'm like, this looks like a good photograph, and it's the photograph as a whole is much stronger. I remember, I forget the guy's name, but he is a really awesome actor. He was in Nocturnal Animals, and he was saying that he thinks no acting is better than the film. So it's Jake Gyllenhaal actually. He did a great podcast with Jeff Goldworth, I think, on the podcast that he does, Off Camera, I believe. Um, Jeff Goldsmith, I think. I don't know. I don't know where it is, but yeah, Jeff Goldsmith
I'll
and Jake
find
Gyllenhaal.
it.
Yeah, Jake Gyllenhaal does an interview on a podcast. It's incredible with Jeff Goldsmith. I believe that's the guy, and I think it's called Off Camera Podcast. Those are really great podcasts too if you're interested in film and just the process behind it and stuff. He's really great at interviewing. But yeah, like he said that he loves acting, but he knows that no actor is better than the film. And by that I mean like no render or object or whatever is greater than the whole sum of the image. And knowing that and being reserved with that, I think that's when you can make really great like distilled pieces of art, which is really great. So yeah, I need to do another session in ZBrush because I haven't done it for like a week. I've been focused and busy on client work and stuff, but I need to do another one. So I'll probably do another live session with you guys soon. That'll be fun.
Yeah, we have about 5 minutes before the homework review.
Yeah, ask away if you guys have any questions. If not, then we can just go right into the homework review. Oh, that's
Yeah,
fun.
there's a few. Do you want to show something before?
Yeah. What is there any other questions? Or are we good to go?
Yeah, there's just a question about nocturnal animals, if you've seen it, and what were your thoughts on the movie?
Yeah, I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. Tom Ford is one of my favorite new directors that I've discovered. He's not new. He did a film called A Single Man, which I still haven't watched. It's on Netflix if you're in the U.S. or I don't know where else it's on. But yeah, that film's great. I loved it. It's so clever and smart in so many ways, and it's just super gripping. It's very tough to watch. I watched it twice in the theater. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was just really well casted, well put together, well acted. Everybody did an amazing job in that film. Like I loved it. It's probably one of my favorite films recent time. That and Arrival. I really enjoyed Arrival, although a lot of my friends had issues with it. I thought it was great. I just love that kind of sci-fi too. It's just kind of smart and has its own kind of deliberate connection with interesting new higher level concepts of thought and stuff. So are you guys all excited for Blade Runner? Because that'll be pretty cool because it's the same director and he's done some really awesome work too. So yeah, it should be fun. Yeah, and look at it. Like I just move around it, and like that to me it looks like a cool image. Like it's telling me all the right amount of information, just enough. Like I can see the eye, and I can see just the right amount of things, but it also feels like very interesting. And that's what I'm saying. Like when I go and make a scene, I'll just go around it, and I'll be able to set up things and see it on the fly as I go. Yeah, and it's a lot of fun. And just set up a render, let it go. And I mean, I have just my 3 cards right now. I don't have my slave machine running, so it's working okay. So, and if I want to just see a region, I'll just kind of grab this area and just make all my GPUs focus on this area so I can see it. But yeah. And there
Cool.
you go. I'd love to work with Tom Ford, though. I love his work. I think he's awesome. Big fan of his work. So he's a smart guy, very smart. I mean, if you research him, which I did. I watched all his like interviews and stuff. He came from Gucci and like fashion, and then he went and built his own brand with Tom Ford. And he's a smart dude, man. Very smart, very hardworking, very dedicated to his craft, and just like relentless, So it's just, yeah, I think he's one of those really special creatives out there right now that's making exceptional work. It's very personal work, which is what I think I love about it too as well. He's very, you could tell he's very fragile inside, like we all are, we all want to be loved or considered or thought about and stuff. So you really feel that resonate in his work. And I think that's something that's interesting about, you say like sci-fi is like, Children of Men and stuff. Like it's sci-fi, but it's done so well in a very different tonality. Like it's really cool, but it's not sci-fi. It's about our desire to survive and our ability to survive and flourish and transcendence and all that kind of stuff. So yeah. Cool.
Cool. If we can just blitz through the next row of questions.
Sure.
One of them is, when applying for a job, what's more important, experience or portfolio?
Sorry, what was it?
When applying for a job, what do you consider more important, the experience of the individual or the quality of their portfolios?
Like, what if I'm hiring them or something to work on something with
Yeah,
them? I think it's a
yeah.
bit of both. You know, a lot of times I'll judge people in their work by the work that they show. So if they're like, if their work looks pretty good, like I can tell they're technically understanding, but they are not doing like work that aligns with what I think I need, then I probably won't have the best imaginative trust in them, if that makes sense. So like that's why I always say, like, if you should only do the work that you feel passionate about, because that's what you'll be hired for. You know, that's what the world will recognize you
Hmm.
for. So I think it's really important to just show the work in your portfolio that shows your ability, not just as like a technician, but also just your voice. You know, like, oh, like, you know, Chris Cunningham compared to like everybody else. You know, like he's putting his voice and style into his work. You know, if that makes sense. Did I
Yeah,
answer it right? I don't know. Is that right?
yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
Next question. Do you already know your presentation topic for BUM Festival in Belgium?
Yeah, yeah, cool. Hopefully, whoever's asked that, if you're going to be there, I'm going to talk a lot about passion and how important it is to have passion when you're working on these things. And I'll reference a lot to making Lost Boy and Nun and um, Lost Boy, Nun, and an Epoch as well. So I'll be using those like three films of recent that I directed and worked on, and corresponded with passion and building these things out, and the long road and all that kind of stuff, and also just dealing with the ups and downs and the uncertainties of things, and, you know, personifying and humifying, basically. I don't know if that's a word, but yeah. So that's kind of the topic. I have to actually start building that talk right now. I got so much stuff to do. Yeah. So yeah. No,
All
I
right,
have
I'll
one
ask.
I am Mag. That's the one I'm building now. So yeah, and there'll be a line, the similar kind of process, but just kind of exposing that, you know, that part of things, and sharing that time with you guys. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be awesome.
Cool. I'll ask this last question, and I'll save the next ones for the next stream.
Okay.
Um, Aaron is asking, will you be at Industry Workshop this year?
I will not be there this year, unfortunately. No,
Ta-ta-ta.
yeah, I would like to, but I'm not going to be speaking there. And then I personally, I'm getting burnt out on doing a lot of traveling and speaking, and I feel like I need to sit down and get to work. And I want it. The more time I can spend here in my office and my computer doing this kind of stuff and not talking about it, better I'll get, and the more useful I'll be to everybody. So I'm just going to focus. I'm trying to eliminate it. I've been speaking with my wife about planning all our travels and trying to just do like maybe 3 events a year maximum. I was doing like 6 or so, and it was 7 or something. It's just very distracting. Also, because, you know, running Learn Squared with the guys and stuff, it's like it's a consistent hardcore thing that needs to be constantly addressed and stuff. So, but yeah, so not this year, but maybe next or something. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah. All right. So that is it. Thank you for those questions, guys, and thank you, Mohammed, for gathering them. All right. I think we're ready. Kellen, is your body ready for this? Is your body ready?
It's completely ready.
Well, yeah. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. And thanks to Mohammed for, you know, like, Mohammed's out there watching you guys, seeing who's being active, and, you know, who's been nodding, who's been nice. I don't know. I'm just joking. I don't know what you're doing, Mohammed. But no, he's pairing us up together. So I have no clue. And then he's like, this is who we're going to talk with. So I'm like, awesome. So first and foremost, thank you for taking the class. Thank you for finishing it. Congratulations for finishing it. It's quite a journey to. Were there any things along the lines that, like, is your goal to do like UI kind of stuff in your career, or where are you at with all that stuff?
Yeah, that's definitely something I'd like to get into.
Okay.
So I'm currently just doing like normal UX and UI, and
Yeah.
getting into more of the concept realm would be the goal.
Awesome. Yeah, this is all like the next class that I'm slowly building is going to be, it's called HUD design, and it's basically all about HUDs, but I'm splitting the class in two pieces. One is practical HUD and one is false, like fictitious HUD, basically. And it's fun to kind of like cross over those realms. But I personally love to do fantasy stuff because there's just no rules and you can just break all the rules as you go. So, which just makes it
Yeah.
a lot of fun. And you just generate your own false fictions and stuff, which is a lot of fun too. So, what's this all about? Is the hex in the middle? The hex object from the class, is that in the middle here?
Yeah, I kind of wanted to take the things that you were showing us to do
Yeah.
and just see if I could like incorporate it in some form of a light table, like and make it interactive in a way
Yeah.
and more dimensional.
Awesome. Great. No, I really like the way that you're using symmetry, and then also like just the shape language that you're using and the amount of information that's on the areas that needs to be too, which is cool. And what's cool is you manage to have your own style with it, which is awesome. You know, it doesn't just like look similar to what I do or other people's work. It's got your own kind of flavor, which is, I don't know if that makes sense. I don't know, so, but it's cool. Which is hard to do,
Yeah.
right? Because like when you're looking at somebody's work, you're like, oh, I just want to do that. Like I was doing when I was, examining like other directors and cinematographers. You know, you want to mimic and stuff because it's comfortable. Is this a Photoshop comp or is this a Octane render? What is this?
No, this is one of my first ventures into C4D. So it was just with the physical render, and then I brought it into Photoshop to kind of add some more to it.
Awesome. Yeah, the physical render is dead to me now, but I still do love it because it did build me up all those years, you know. So,
Yeah.
yeah, no, that's awesome, and the results really work well too. So it's good. Did you have any complications or issues that you ran into that I could help you with, or anything that I can kind of, while we're here together on our brief time together, is there anything that I could kind of help guide you or questions that you might have had?
I mean, the class you pretty much explained everything really well. I guess I'd be interested to see like what areas you think I could push further, maybe.
Yeah. Well, are you interested in doing more of these kind of things? Obviously, as you said, you want to do more fantasy kind of stuff. So I would
Yeah,
suggest probably the best way to do this is now that you've acquired like all the logic and skills that I've taught you from my own ability, which is like, depth of focus and grids and assets and all that kind of stuff. I suppose probably the next phase of this journey for you would probably be more or less aligned with you generating your own brief. And this could be, there's many different ways you can do this, and everybody else that's taken this class or anybody else's class, I would suggest you try this. The class is never finished basically, and that's why when you sign up you have like a lifetime access, so you can always have the ability to come back and watch something. But one of the keys now I think for you would be is to generate your own brief. Like Mohammed took this class too, so, and I think Mohammed, you had the same kind of questions too, like where do I go from now? And I think that it's like go into the unknown, and I would say like, what film or project or game or whatever do you remember that you could possibly like build out your own version of that UI and make like a case study of it basically. So you could basically do two different versions. Basically, you can go one project you can kind of focus on just making something that from something that exists already, which I suggest you try because that would give you a lot more attention if you want that attention, that heat basically. Like, oh, I'm making the HUD for Metal Gear Solid or whatever.
Yeah.
You take like an existing property and build upon it in your own fan fiction basically, or you could take you could go off and make your own. Like you can come, okay, I'm making this thing, it's about this, and I'm doing that over here, and blah blah blah. And that exists. That basically is like, instead of me making the brief in the class for the hex object, it's basically you taking that same formula and building your own fiction around it, and then using that to kind of infer your design choices as you build a project. So basically, you've gotten to the point where you've understood everything and everything works and you have your own style. Now it's about repetition and putting in the work to generate your own fictional or like build something off of an existing property to kind of help you along as you go, and then just making a project and then going from there. Until then, you'll probably, as you go, if you keep going and then you share this work with people and you get it featured and all that kind of stuff, then like people will come knocking on your door, and then you get jobs and all that kind of fun stuff, and then you'll be like, okay, I'm got so many UI work. I need to go learn ZBrush or something. Yeah.
No, yeah, it's really good advice. I like that.
That's probably what I do at this point, because
Yeah.
you understand. Obviously, you're comprehending how to make the image and comprehending how to put everything together, and build conveying things nicely, and everything kind of comes together. So I would say the next best thing for you is just kind of build out another project that uses all those things, but it's geared towards something more specific, whether it's something that you want to do or something that is applied to something that already exists. So sit there and kind of let it permeate and think about it a little bit. Don't just be too super reactional. I would say, like, think about what you want it to be and how you want it to be, and like what is it that you love. Like, oh, I really love like Super Metroid or something. Like, I'd love to do the helmet HUD in there, or like the object that she covets or whatever. Like just something like that. Could be really cool. So think about what you're interested in and how to apply that to the things that you love, and then it'll be a magical formula. That's how I work. So like a long time ago, let's see, ashthorpe.com, I did this project a long time ago, and this was like a passion project that I did over a course of a couple of weeks. But I wanted to do my own version of like an introduction to Metal Gear Solid, and so I took my inspiration from that, and then it kind of took all the things that I had been learning over the year of working at Prologue and applied it to making like a deck of really cool style frames, basically. And so take all that stuff and kind of combine it and then make my own fiction, basically. And that's this project. I believe this thing got featured on Kodaku and all that stuff. And then again, it just kind of kicked off and went crazy. So, but I didn't ask anybody for permission or anything. I just went off and did it myself, which led me to like working with a lot of these game companies and stuff too, ironically. So, and to answer kind of the question that was earlier asked, Momo asked about like portfolio and stuff, what you do. It's like I did this like exactly designed to get the attention of future employers in the game industry. Like I wanted to work on video games and stuff. So there it is. And I made the concept. I took time and energy and my focus, and I made my own project for it. So this is all super old, but yeah. So yeah. So I mean, that's kind of how that's my next phase for you. That's the best advice I can give you, is to take what you've made and go beyond it and make something of your own that's geared towards something that you really like. Can you see all the stuff that I've taught you in here? You see it all?
Yeah.
It's all there. Yeah. This is super old, but it's a great example to show you, though, because like you're right here right now. Like how to make all this stuff. Now it's mostly a matter of just taking that logic and applying it to something that like my fake brief to myself was like, oh, this is like the Forefront. I named it the Forefront, and it was like future weaponry where there's augmented science and augmented bodies and stuff that are into like the super soldier and all that kind of stuff, like cheesy, funny stuff that's been like just like constantly like barraging us in popular culture for a long time. But I wanted my own take on it, cinematically, and the feel and the tone and all that kind of stuff, connecting the eye and starting from here and kind of cutting between scenes and going from the brain to the eye and out the eye into like war and stuff. So yeah. But yeah, you hold the power to whatever you want, like now you have all the tools. So cool.
Yeah, that makes sense for sure. Just give it more purpose and story and going from there.
Exactly. Everything comes from that. If you can kind of use story to kind of build out your intentions and your design, everything it'll just feel that much more rich. There'll be a patina to the world that you're making. It'll be much more strong. So yeah, cool. And I'm looking forward to seeing what you do. If and when you do it, keep in touch with us, please, of course, and then share it with us. And I'd love to have you back on, and we can go through it and talk about, the ups and downs and the project and all that kind of fun stuff. Because, yeah, it's a journey, like art and creating is a journey. It's never a destination. We get like slow incremental growth as we go through it, but constantly developing, so
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Killer. Yeah, and we're here to help and be a part of it at every phase as we can. So yeah, awesome. Cool.
Cool.
That's it, guys. That's a wrap. Thank you guys for the stream. More of like a chill one. Didn't have a guest on today, and there's been a lot of questions about the ZBrush and the Octane Cinema stuff and the lighting stuff. So it's a brief introduction and then kind of a little look into the world in which how I create things. There's going to be much more of it too as I go. And again, just as a disclosure, like I'm not a ZBrush master in any capacity. I have been drawing since I've been a kid, so that helps. But I'm just kind of going along and learning as I go. So if you guys have some really cool tips or things, like please share it. That'd be awesome. I'd love to learn new things. I actually, on my computer, I have 2 browsers open. One's specifically for all these YouTube links and videos for ZBrush tutorials I need to watch. So I'm constantly learning and growing and stuff. So, and connecting the 2 things. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. Awesome. And thank you so much for the both of you guys for coming on and running the show today. I appreciate it.
Yeah, if you guys should just make sure you upload your homework on the Learn Squared site, or if you have anything you'd like Ash or Mache to review, send me a message on Slack or just any of those. I'm always looking for people to bring over to these guys for you guys to have your homework reviewed.
Yeah. It's a great opportunity to do if you guys are taking the class, and like I always love that, getting FaceTime with the person that I'm learning from. It's like nothing beats that, so this is a good way to do it. So awesome. Yeah, cool. Thank you guys.
All right, peace
Out, everybody. Man. Thank you guys. Have a great day. Be powerful, be prolific. Peace out.